Congratulations on reaching day 17 of the 21 Days to Transform Your Love Life Challenge by the Offline Social. Today, we're diving into the timeless and universal concepts of masculine and feminine energies, forces that exist within all of us, regardless of gender identity. Join Ava and Harper for an insightful and heartfelt conversation as we uncover the transformative power of aligning with these energies. Together, we'll explore simple, actionable steps to help you embrace balance and authenticity in your love life and beyond. Let's keep this journey of transformation going, one meaningful day at a time.
All right. Hey, everyone. Get ready, because today we are diving deep into masculine and feminine energies.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, and I think this will be pretty intriguing.
Yeah.
But before the thing, we're just going to talk all about gender stereotypes.
Right.
Let me clarify.
Yeah.
It's not really about like rigid roles.
Okay.
But about recognizing these energies as, I don't know, forces, almost like yin and yang that exist in everyone.
Yin and yang.
Yeah.
For those who might not be familiar, it's this ancient Chinese concept that describes how seemingly opposite forces are actually interconnected and interdependent.
Yeah.
So it's about finding balance, harmony between these complementary forces.
And our source material for this is a little bit unconventional.
Oh?
It's it's a snippet from a Transform Your Love Life Challenge, Day 17, where they focus on social interaction.
Interesting.
But honestly, what we'll uncover goes way beyond dating.
I see. Okay.
I actually stumbled upon a study a while back about intuition and decision-making, and it found that people who trusted their gut feelings often made better choices.
Interesting.
Even in complex situations.
Yes, fascinating, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a growing body of research now suggesting that intuition plays a significant role.
I know.
How we process information,
even
make decisions.
It's not just...
It's not about some mystical sixth sense or anything. It's about tapping into our subconscious.
Exactly.
Which is constantly picking up on these subtle cues and patterns.
Okay, so let's get into it.
Okay.
Our source kicks off by defining feminine energy as creativity, intuition, and flow. While masculine energy is about action, structure, and strength.
Okay, yeah, these definitions offer a good starting point.
Right.
But it's important to remember that these qualities aren't limited by gender.
Of course.
We all have this blend, this unique blend of both masculine and feminine energies within us.
Right. Like, remember that male artist we were talking about before?
Yeah.
He might be all about, emotions and creative expression when he's painting.
Totally.
But then becomes super focused and strategic when he's managing his business.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's recognizing the different facets of ourselves.
Yeah.
And understanding how to leverage them effectively.
So the source then dives into these specific practices.
Okay.
Labeling them as quote-unquote masculine or feminine. I'm a bit skeptical about the labels.
Yeah.
But let's see what they have to say.
Right.
The first masculine practice is generosity as a masculine virtue.
Okay.
And they even suggest offering to pay for coffee as an example. Now, is that really a masculine trait?
Right.
Or just being a decent human being?
Yeah, I get the skepticism.
Yeah.
I mean, while offering to pay for coffee can be a simple act of kindness.
Right.
The source might be highlighting the aspect of taking initiative. Stepping up, providing for someone, which has traditionally been associated with expressions of masculinity.
I see your point. It's about the intention behind the action, perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
Okay.
They talk about taking the lead on dates, suggesting, clear plans instead of, I don't know, what do you want to do?
Ooh, that can be a tricky one.
I know.
On the one hand, it demonstrates confidence, decisiveness, traditionally seen as masculine traits.
Yeah,
but
it's a fine line.
It's a fine line between taking charge and being controlling.
Totally. I once had a date who planned every single detail.
Oh, wow.
Down to what I should order for dinner.
Oh, no.
Let's just say it wasn't exactly a recipe for romance.
Yeah, it's all about balance, right?
Yeah.
And respecting your partner's preferences.
For sure.
It's not about dictating the entire experience, but rather about initiating and steering the interaction with confidence while being open to collaboration. So think of it as offering a starting point, a framework for creating a shared experience.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's about taking the reins but not being a dictator.
Exactly.
Right. The source also mentions vulnerability and presence as masculine practices.
That's interesting.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Because traditional masculinity often discourages men from expressing emotions openly.
Absolutely. And that's precisely why I think this point is so important.
Yeah.
They're challenging those outdated notions.
Right.
And suggesting that true strength lies in being grounded, emotionally aware, able to connect with both your own feelings and the feelings of others.
Okay. Ready to explore what the source considers feminine practices?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right.
This is where we delve into those qualities that are often undervalued, in our fast-paced, achievement-oriented society.
Let's start with leaning into intuition and vulnerability. They suggest journaling emotions and trusting your gut feelings. I have to admit, I used to be pretty dismissive of the whole intuition thing.
Right.
But lately, I've been trying to pay more attention to those subtle feelings and nudges.
I think you're onto something.
Yeah.
I mean, we often prioritize logic and reason.
Yes.
But intuition can be a powerful tool.
I think so.
For decision-making, for navigating life's complexities.
Yeah.
It's like that feeling you get when something seems off, even if you can't explain it logically.
Right, and sometimes those gut feelings turn out to be incredibly accurate.
Yeah, absolutely.
The next practice is nurturing as a strength.
Okay.
Which I know can be a loaded term, especially for women.
Right.
Does nurturing always have to mean self-sacrifice?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I don't believe so at all.
Okay.
Nurturing in this context, I think, is about creating a safe space for connection.
Okay.
And support.
So it's not about being a doormat, but about creating a supportive and loving environment.
Precisely. It's about recognizing the needs of others.
Okay.
And responding with compassion and care.
Now this one is interesting.
Okay.
Embracing elegance and flow.
Ooh.
They even suggest wearing something graceful.
Okay.
How much do you think outward appearance connects to inner energy?
That's a really nuanced point.
Yeah.
I don't think it's about conforming to some external standard of beauty.
Right.
But rather about aligning your outer expression with your inner state.
Okay.
The concept of flow, often associated with feminine energy.
Right.
It's about being present, savoring experiences, and moving through life with grace and ease.
Yeah.
And sometimes choosing clothing that makes us feel confident and beautiful can actually help us tap into that energy.
I never thought of it that way, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like how wearing a power suit can make you feel more confident in a business meeting.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's not about vanity, but about expressing yourself authentically.
Yes.
And finding joy in the way you present yourself to the world.
Absolutely.
And that leads us to the final practice.
Okay.
Receiving with grace.
Which is all about accepting compliments, care, and support.
Right.
Without feeling awkward or undeserving.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people
I know, me too.
Struggle with this, yeah.
We're so quick to downplay our accomplishments.
Right.
Or brush off compliments.
It's often rooted in feelings of unworthiness.
Yeah.
Or a fear of being perceived as arrogant.
Right.
But receiving graciously is actually a sign of self-worth.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that you deserve to be treated with kindness.
Yes.
And respect.
I like that.
And allowing yourself to fully receive and appreciate it.
So it's like a muscle that needs to be exercised.
Exactly.
The more we practice receiving with grace,
yes,
the more comfortable we become with allowing others to care for us.
Absolutely. And when we can fully receive, we create space for this reciprocal flow of giving and receiving.
Exactly.
Which is essential for healthy relationships.
This is all pretty thought-provoking.
It is.
But how do we reconcile these masculine and feminine labels with the idea that these energies exist in everyone?
That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
It's not about conforming to, predefined behaviors based on gender, but rather about understanding our own unique blend of masculine and feminine energy.
So it's about recognizing which of these energies we might need to tap into more.
Exactly.
Regardless of our gender.
Yeah.
Now, this is where I think things start to get really interesting.
It's like having a toolbox, filled with different tools.
Yeah.
And depending on the task at hand, you choose the one that's best suited for the job.
Right.
Sometimes you need a hammer. Sometimes you need a screwdriver.
Yeah.
It's the same with these energies. We all possess them.
Right.
It's about becoming aware of when and how to utilize them effectively.
Right. I love that analogy.
Yeah.
So it's not about denying any part of ourselves, but rather about embracing the full spectrum of who we are.
Yeah.
Kind of like those personality tests that tell you you're 80% introvert and 20% extrovert. It's not that you're one or the other, but rather that you have the capacity for both.
Yes.
And understanding that can help you navigate different situations more effectively.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's where the real magic happens.
Okay.
When we can tap into both our masculine and our feminine energies.
Right.
We become more whole, more authentic.
Yeah.
And, frankly, more powerful in navigating all aspects of our lives.
This is making me think about a time when I was struggling with a creative project. I was stuck in my head overthinking everything.
Right.
And I just couldn't seem to make any progress.
Yeah.
I was so focused on the end goal, on creating something perfect,
I see.
that I had completely lost touch with the joy of the creative process.
It sounds like you were caught in a loop of masculine energy.
Yeah, maybe.
Focused on structure, planning, achieving the desired outcome.
You're right. And what shifted for me was I was talking to a friend about it.
Okay.
And she reminded me to just let go.
Right.
To allow myself to play and experiment without judgment.
I see.
She even suggested putting on some music and just moving my body to get out of my head and into a more intuitive, flowing state.
And how did that feel?
It was like a breath of fresh air. As soon as I stopped trying to force it and just allowed myself to be present in the moment, the ideas started flowing effortlessly.
Wow.
It was a reminder that sometimes we need to tap into that feminine energy to surrender to the process.
Yeah.
And trust that inspiration will come.
That's a beautiful example of how recognizing these energies can help us shift our approach and unlock our creative potential.
Yes.
It's not about suppressing the masculine drive for achievement, but rather about finding that sweet spot where both energies can coexist and complement each other.
This is so fascinating.
It is.
I'm starting to see how understanding these energies can be a game changer in so many areas of life.
It truly is.
Yeah.
Whether we're navigating our careers, personal relationships, or even our own internal world, this framework can offer valuable insights and empower us to make more conscious choices.
Okay, so for our listeners who are starting to think, maybe there's something to this.
Right.
Where would you suggest they begin?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
How can they start to explore these energies in their own lives? A great starting point is simply becoming more aware.
Okay.
Start paying attention to how these energies show up in your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors. Notice when you tend to lean on one energy more than the other. For example, do you find yourself constantly planning and organizing?
Right.
Or do you prefer to go with the flow?
Right.
Do you tend to be more assertive and direct? Or are you more nurturing and empathetic?
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong answer.
Okay.
It's just about gathering information about yourself.
That's a great tip. And once you start to become aware of your own tendencies, you can begin to experiment with tapping into the other energy.
Exactly.
When needed.
It's like expanding your repertoire of skills.
Okay.
Let's say you're someone who tends to be very analytical.
Yeah.
And driven, always striving for success. That can be an incredible strength.
Right.
But perhaps you also notice that you struggle with expressing your emotions. Or allowing yourself to be vulnerable. In that case, exploring some of those feminine practices. Like journaling. Or spending time in nature. Might help you create more balance.
So it's about recognizing our strengths, but also acknowledging areas where we might need to develop more balance. Exactly. It's not about trying to be someone we're not, but rather about accessing the full spectrum of our potential.
It's about becoming more whole, more integrated, and ultimately more empowered to live a life that feels authentic and aligned with our true selves.
Now, this is what I love about these deep dives. We take a seemingly simple concept and uncover all these layers of nuance and insight.
Like peeling back the layers of an onion, right?
Yes, revealing these hidden depths and complexities that we might not have noticed at first glance.
And sometimes those hidden depths can lead to profound aha moments that shift our entire perspective.
I agree.
I'm curious, have you experienced anything like that in your own life? a time when recognizing these energies helped you navigate a situation more effectively?
You know what? I think I have. It actually involves a situation at work.
Okay.
I was working on a team project, and we were facing some pretty tight deadlines.
Right.
I naturally jumped into, like, take charge mode.
I see.
Delegating tasks, making sure everyone was on track.
Right.
I thought I was being efficient and productive. But I started to notice that some of my team members seemed stressed.
Right.
And a bit resentful.
It sounds like you were channeling that masculine energy of leadership and action, which can be incredibly valuable in those situations.
Right.
But perhaps the team also needed a dose of feminine energy.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
To balance things out.
I was so focused on achieving the goal that I had neglected to create space for collaboration and connection. I wasn't really listening to my team members' concerns or acknowledging their contributions.
Right.
One of my colleagues, who's a master at reading people's energy, pulled me aside and gently suggested that I try a different approach. She said, "You're doing a great job leading the charge.
Yeah.
But sometimes people just need to feel heard and acknowledged."
What a wise observation.
Right.
Sometimes the most effective leadership involves creating a space where people feel safe to share their ideas, express their concerns, and feel valued for their unique contributions.
Exactly.
It's about recognizing that achieving a goal is often a collaborative effort.
Right.
And that nurturing those connections can be just as important as hitting those deadlines.
That's such a powerful reminder.
It is.
And it really highlights how understanding these energies can go beyond just personal growth.
Right.
And have a profound impact on our interactions with others.
Yes.
Whether it's in our workplaces, families, or communities.
Absolutely. And I think this leads us to another important point.
Okay.
It's not just about recognizing these energies within ourselves, but also about recognizing them in others.
Yes.
And understanding how they might be influencing their behavior.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So, for example, if someone's being super assertive and direct, instead of getting defensive or feeling threatened, we can recognize that they might be operating from a place of masculine energy and try to meet them with understanding and compassion.
Exactly. Or conversely, if someone seems withdrawn or hesitant to share their ideas, it might be that they need a bit of encouragement.
Okay.
And a safe space to express themselves.
Yeah.
Recognizing these energies in others can help us to communicate more effectively, build stronger relationships, and navigate conflict more constructively.
Okay. I have to admit, my mind is officially blown.
It is fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's remarkable how a simple shift in perspective can make such a difference in how we approach our interactions and challenges.
Right. And that's the beauty of these deep dives.
Yeah.
We take a seemingly straightforward concept, like masculine and feminine energies, and discover all these layers of meaning and application.
It's like we're peeling back the layers of an onion, revealing hidden depths and complexities that we might not have noticed at first glance.
Okay, so before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with something to ponder.
Yeah.
Think about a situation in your own life where recognizing these energies in yourself or in someone else could potentially shift your approach or even the outcome. It could be a current challenge, a relationship dynamic, or even just a way of being that you'd like to explore more deeply.
That's such a powerful invitation.
Yeah.
It could be anything from a work project that requires you to tap into your leadership skills to a personal relationship where you need to create more space for emotional connection.
Yeah.
Or perhaps it's simply about finding more balance in your daily life. Embracing moments of stillness and flow amidst the hustle and bustle.
And remember, it's not about forcing yourself to be someone you're not. It's about recognizing the amazing spectrum of qualities within you and choosing which ones to express depending on the situation.
Exactly. It's about becoming more conscious, more intentional, and ultimately more empowered in how we navigate the world and interact with others.
I think we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
But I'm sensing there's even more to explore. We'll be back after a quick moment to wrap things up and leave you with a final thought to ponder. We're back, And I gotta say, this exploration of masculine and feminine energies has really got me thinking.
It really is remarkable how a simple concept can have such deep meaning.
You know what's really hitting me?
Yeah.
It's not just about these energies by themselves, but how they work together.
Right.
You know, how they affect each other.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
Think of it like a dance.
Okay.
Like this delicate interplay between two forces that complement each other. When they're in harmony, it creates balance flow.
Totally.
But when they're out of sync, that's when you get friction,
Right.
stagnation.
So it's not about being perfectly balanced all the time.
Right.
But more about understanding the ups and downs of these energies.
Exactly.
And learning to handle those changes gracefully and intentionally.
Exactly. And sometimes it's about knowing when to tap into one energy or the other to get the results you want. For example, if you're facing a challenge and you need to take action, be assertive, you might need that masculine energy to take charge, make those bold decisions.
Okay.
But then after the crisis is over, you might need to switch gears and embrace that feminine energy to nurture yourself and others, to create a space for healing and restoration.
This is making me think about how we associate certain jobs with specific energies.
Oh, yeah.
Like we see CEOs and entrepreneurs as embodying masculine energy, while caregivers and artists are seen as more feminine. But what if we looked at that differently?
That's where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
Imagine a CEO who leads with strength and compassion.
Right.
Someone who can make tough choices, but also cares about their employees.
Yeah.
Or an artist who's in touch with their emotions, but also knows how to run a business.
That's the kind of world I want to live in.
Right.
Where we embrace all forms of expression.
Yes.
Regardless of gender or job.
Exactly.
A world where both men and women feel empowered to embrace their own mix of masculine and feminine energies.
I think we're moving in that direction.
I hope so.
More and more people are recognizing that those old gender roles are limiting.
Right.
And embracing the idea that we all have strength, sensitivity, logic, intuition, action and reflection.
It's like breaking free from those old ways of thinking.
Right.
And creating something new, something more real and empowering.
Absolutely.
Okay, before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with one last thought. Something to really think about. What would you say is the most important thing we learned from our deep dive today?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing is to understand these energies aren't separate.
Okay.
They're not opposites. They're two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
And understanding how they work together can unlock a whole new level of self-awareness, empowerment, and potential.
Beautifully said. And I would add, it's not about trying to be perfectly balanced or fitting into some box.
Right.
It's about embracing who you are with all your complexities and contradictions.
Exactly.
And using that understanding to live a more fulfilling and authentic life.
It's about recognizing that self-discovery never ends.
Yeah.
And the more we learn about ourselves, the more we can grow and evolve.
I agree.
And create a world that celebrates the richness of human experience.
Well, folks, I think we've reached the end of this deep dive.
Yes.
We've explored masculine and feminine energies, uncovered some real wisdom, and hopefully sparked some new ideas and perspectives.
It's been a pleasure diving deep with you today.
And as always, we encourage you to keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into life's mysteries.
Absolutely.
Until next time, stay curious.